Living in Victory podcast family, we're back. I'm Olivia West, keynote speaker and a host. Joining us on the Living in Victory podcast today is Kiah Stokes. And Kiah is a two-time WNBA champion, EuroLeague champion, and three-time NCAA champion at Yukon. Living in Victory podcast family, get excited and welcome Kiah Stokes in the building.
Oh, thank you. That was really hyping me up. I appreciate that. Now I'm like, okay, let's talk about it.
Let's go. It's game time. Kiah, thanks so much for joining me today. Living in Victory is my namesake, Liv, L-I-V, and the whole concept of victory is winning, and not just doing it, but the mindsets and the behaviors that it takes to do it. And listen, your bio, you've done a lot of winning. So before we get started, I want to do a little lightning round just to get to know you and for the listeners to get to know you too. Okay. All right. Let's tip things off with what's your favorite food?
I love anything Asian. Thai food, sushi, Chinese food, Asian, I'm good.
There you go. Favorite color?
Green.
All the way?
All the way.
There we go.
Money green, baby.
Money green. That's my favorite color too, matter of fact. Do you have any hidden talents?
I'm really good at ping pong. That's probably it.
Ping pong?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you spend your time doing when you're not on the court?
I'm kind of a geek, so I love doing puzzles, escape rooms, anything in that nature, or like bowling, anything I could also win.
Okay, win. So competition, competitiveness is really important to you.
Absolutely.
That's cool. When you think of your home state, Iowa, you think of what?
Corn.
Corn.
Yes.
Like there's, I mean, obviously there's a lot of corn in Iowa, but did you have anything to do with the corn or you just around it?
Just around it all the time. I mean, when anyone says Iowa, I just think of corn, but obviously, like, I grew up there, spent 18 years there. My dad went to the University of Iowa. My brother went to the university. So I got a lot of ties there, but I'm glad I left.
Oh, and that's okay. You know, sometimes you got to go to grow, and that's A-okay. I'm from Indiana. I'm from like a really small town in northern Indiana, but now I live in Indianapolis, which is the 13th biggest city in the United States.
Really?
It is. Yeah.
Okay, come on, Indy.
Yeah, come on, Indy. Stand up, Indy. The thing about us, we didn't build up, we built out. And so Indianapolis, the suburbs, there's a lot of population, but you're not going to see like a massive downtown, you know?
I can see that. I remember my mom telling me a few years ago, Cedar Rapids just got a permit to build like, I don't know, maybe a 10-story building. And it was supposed to be like one of the biggest ones. Meanwhile, I played my first 6 years in New York. I'm like, they got 50 stories is the rate.
Is the average. And in there is like 5 office buildings, 50 floors of hotels.
So I get it, the growing out instead of up. It's a Midwest thing for sure.
Definitely Midwest. If you could describe yourself in 3 words, what would those 3 words be?
I would say genuine, sarcastic, and hardworking. You know, I think anyone in our profession has to work hard to get to where we are.
Let's go. Mine were probably a bit more surface level. We were just kind of joking before this. I prompted her with that. She was like, oh, that one's good. And I shared with her what my 3 words are. For me, I'm brilliant, beautiful, and talented.
Yeah. I was like, I should have stole that, but I don't want to take what's yours.
Absolutely. But seriously, I mean, I think it's important to know who you are and to define yourself for others and to share that. Right? Because if you don't share it, then people can just put whichever labels on you that they want.
Absolutely.
And I, most of the time, don't like those labels.
I don't either. It's a cold world out here. So as long as you know yourself, that's kind of where you got to just worry about yourself. You know, don't worry about the outside noise and what they're saying.
Absolutely. Speaking of knowing yourself, what is something that you care deeply about?
I would say my family. I have an older brother who's currently coaching at Elon. Shout out to them. I'm actually probably going to see him in a few weeks at their conference tournament. And my parents been my biggest supporters from day one. Whatever I need, they're always there. But for sure, my family.
That's amazing. Shout out to Greg. And what's your mom's name?
Julie. Dr. Julie. Shout out, Mom.
Dr. Julie.
Yeah.
Come on, educated sister. I love that, doctor. I promise, if I were a doctor, you wouldn't even know my first name.
Really?
It would just be doctor. Yes. Doctor. It would be doctor everything.
She's pretty chill. From what I know, she doesn't make everyone call her like doctor outside of the hospital. That's what she says.
Okay. So a medical doctor even.
Yeah. Oh, she's an anesthesiologist. Wow. Well, yeah, she's like that.
Oh, she's like that.
Yeah.
So education has always been important in your family.
Oh, yeah. Growing up, it was get home from school, homework, practice, and then you can go hang out with friends. So that's kind of just been instilled with me.
So education has like truly been a priority because I feel like a lot of people will say that, right? It's like student first, but when you're playing basketball, how many hours a week? I mean, how many hours a day? It's really hard to prioritize, right?
Oh,
because if you look at someone's schedule, you see their priorities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
sure.
it was definitely tough. And my parents are divorced. They've been divorced since I was in kindergarten. So she's done her own thing. So she went to school for business originally, was a flight attendant, didn't really like it, ended up going back to med school when I was in middle school and high school. So I was seeing her do this in real time, and then went back to school again to become a pain fellow, which I don't want to lie, but I just feel like you do a lot more harder things. But yeah, she loves it. But just seeing her, she was the first one in her family to go to college, put herself through school. So seeing that from my mom's side, very education focused. And then my dad, obviously, the athletic focus. I feel like I had to pick one route, and I tried to do both. Luckily, I got to Yukon. I did graduate with honors, though. Shout out. Stay in school, folks. But it was really tough to have two parents who were great role models in two different directions.
That's really impactful, because what you see is what you become, right? I mean, throwing back to my childhood, my mother educated, but she didn't do that till later. I mean, she had a complex educational journey, but she did what she needed to do, because Absolutely. If you don't grind, you don't shine. And if you don't do that, then it's hard to provide. So shout out to your mom. That's really impactful. I'm glad you shared that, because I think so often, right? I mean, clearly her father, 6'10", by the way.
Yeah, he's pretty tall. He up there.
Pretty tall. And clearly you 6'3".
Yeah, 6'3", 6'4". My brother's 6'7", 6'8"-ish. My mom is also tall. She's like 5'10", but compared to us,
yes,
she's not.
Right. Of course. Like comparatively, definitely not as tall. Like, we have 7-footers in the house. 6-footers is nothing.
Basically.
But I think what's so cool about that is it's really easy to be like, oh, like Greg was in the NBA. Oh, Greg played in the Pan American Games. But it's like, hold on. Mom is over here holding it down, highly educated, breaking barriers. First one in her family to go to school. First one in her family to be a doctor and an anesthesiologist, have you.
Right.
Which is the top of the top. And it's fellowships and it's all this stuff. So really amazing, really grateful that you had that experience. And I know for myself, shout out to my mom. She's amazing.
Yeah, no, she's definitely been a role model. And just to see her, like I said, independent, seeing something, going and taking it, I just feel like that's incredible. And I'm very blessed to have a family that's been able to accomplish their dreams and just to see a route and they followed it.
If you can dream it, you can do it.
Hey, absolutely.
If you can see it, you can be it.
That part.
And that is so cool. So talk to us and just share a little bit about how you first started playing basketball. You went to Linn-Mar High School, right? But before you dominate in high school, you got to learn the game and you have to learn to love it.
Yes, you do.
Share that story.
Well, I will say I was daddy's girl growing up. So I saw anything he did, I just wanted to be a little copycat, right? So 5 years old, YMCA league. And, you know, when you're 5, nowadays these 5-year-olds are ballers. But for me, I'm tall, skinny, didn't know how to brush my hair. So I'm just on the court running around in circles. Salvation Army League, throwing the ball at the bottom of the net. Just didn't know what to do. I was awful. And then did that for a few years. 3rd grade comes around. I'm sitting at dinner with my dad and my brother. Get a call from an AAU coach. He was like, hey, this is, I'm not going to say his name, so-and-so. We're wondering if Kia wants to be on our traveling AAU team. Again, this is 3rd grade. I'm not good. And my dad gets off the phone. He's like, hey, Kia, do you want to be on a traveling basketball team like your dad did? And I was like, oh, yeah, of course. And so that was, since then it was history. I think we practiced twice a week. I was on that team until high school, honestly, like forever. And,
so you were locked in.
Yeah.
From 3rd grade to high school, you played on the same team.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't good, but, you know, it was just the team aspect, getting work in, meeting all these players. And then luckily the high school coaches, once I got to high school, I was better, I would say. But there were a few coaches that were like, oh, she could be pretty good. She's tall, she's athletic, you know, she can run, she's mobile. And they really fought for me to put my name out there just to get recruited. And then the rest is kind of history, I guess.
That's awesome. So when did you get good at basketball then?
I would probably say maybe my sophomore year.
In high school?
Yeah.
Y'all, there's still hope.
Yeah. I mean, I was always pretty coordinated. And I mean, even now, I still have a lot of room to improve. Don't get me wrong. But in terms of just taking it to the next level, I would probably say like my sophomore year is when I really was like, oh yeah, I could actually go somewhere like a bigger school. So I got my first offer in 8th grade, but it was a University of Northern Iowa, and that's like 45 minutes from my house, D1. I knew some of the girls on the team. Well, their sisters on the team, they're all older. But I just felt like that was kind of the starting point. But because of my dad's name and someone who's tall, athletic, I feel like it was just a maybe she'll be good one day offer. And then I really felt like after my sophomore year was when I really kind of picked it up and was able to get more offers. I was invited to the USA camp, and when I was there, that's when, you know, the Yukons, the Tennessees, all the big names were kind of hitting me up, and I was like, whew, it's pretty incredible. But yeah, it was definitely, it's never too late. It's never too late, that's for sure.
It's never too late. And I think the coolest thing about that story is you turned passion into high performance. Because when you joined that U16 team, that was the first U16 team, by the way, right?
Yeah.
And then you went on to not just play, but win.
Yeah.
Come on, represent for the United States, but small town girl in Iowa with a lot of potential. There was a lot of work that you had to put in for you to perform.
It was weird because I grew up in Iowa, in a small town. My AAU team, we would travel around the Midwest, but I think the furthest tournament we went to was Boo Williams in Virginia. But other than that, like, we didn't go anywhere. So me going from that to the USA camp, I was surrounded by all these amazing players. I was a little intimidated because I'm like, I'm a girl from Iowa. Like, nobody knows me. We've got people from New York, Texas, California, these big states playing against a million people where I'm playing, I'm the big fish in the little pond. So it was definitely overwhelming. And then, once you're on the court and you're like, oh, okay, they're actually normal people. It definitely gets, I want to say easier, but I was more comfortable. But definitely a little culture shock because I grew up in, like I said, such a small town. I didn't really know what else was out there in terms of basketball.
That is so impactful, that yet another great Iowa player. To be frank, I think Iowa's kind of building a reputation now of some dogs.
Absolutely. Actually, my class, I ended up going to Yukon. There's another woman that went to Notre Dame and another woman that went to Stanford, all my age, out of Iowa, which I thought was pretty incredible.
Oh, so that's what's happening in Iowa.
Yeah.
So, y'all, you just heard it. They grow more than corn in Iowa. They grow some professional women's basketball players.
I mean, this was also
some of the best of the best.
10 years ago, and then now with Caitlin's whole ordeal, I mean, she really put the state on the map. I can say what I want about Iowa, but when you think of Iowa now, she's for sure like the legend, and just what she's brought to the university, her fan base, and then even now to the league, has just been a crazy just accomplishment and achievement just for what she's been able to do.
She's been incredible.
Yeah.
I host for the Indiana Fever, so I see the fruits of it every day.
You're biased, but it helps. It helps us all out, to be honest, just to have eyes on the game, because it's been so good for so long. The players in this league have been elite, and I feel like we've deserved more visibility. And this year, the last couple of years, between her and Angel and all the rookies and the college players getting to our league, is just night and day, and it's only going to get bigger and more visible.
A rising tide lifts all boats.
Absolutely.
And the product has already been there. I was talking about that with Ty Harris. She was like, I am so proud to be a woman in this sport right now because
Absolutely.
people are finally catching up. Oh, trust me, I am an OG Fever fan, right? Like, I've never been like a player-specific type of fan.
Mm-hmm.
I like teams. I like organizations. I like franchises.
Yeah.
And, being from Indiana, Tamika Catchings was like my girl. It's like,
Catch,
be more
man.
like Catch. Rebound more like Catch. And I'm like, I'm nothing like her. But now it's awesome to be proximate to her.
Mm-hmm.
So Tamika Catchings actually owns a couple of restaurants in Indianapolis called Tease Me Cafe. And they serve tea and like sandwiches. They got some great salad with this vinaigrette that's just amazing.
It's doing something to you, huh?
It does it. Every Friday I'm in the city, I actually go there and work. And guess what? Catch will be in there serving.
What's it called?
It's called Tease Me.
Tease Me.
T-E-A, like tea. Yeah, Tease Me.
So when we play Indy, I'm about to check it out because this salad better be good with that vinaigrette.
It's good. It's so good. Tell them I sent you. I'm there every week.
Okay.
So
all right, I'm gonna hold you to that.
Good stuff. Kia, you obviously got pretty good in high school because at the very end of your high school career, that senior season, you went 26-0 and won a 4A state title. You exited high school being ranked 9th overall. So between sophomore and senior, a dog was created.
Yeah, shout out to my dad for that. He had me running on the track, running on fields, in the weight room. Like, it was a whole mindset switch, and I think it helped a lot because if I didn't go through that, I don't even know if I would have made it through Yukon, because that was the hardest thing I've ever had to go through. Gino does a great job of just pushing you to your limits and basically making you push through that wall. Like I said, I was big fish, little pond, thought I was a shit. Oh, sorry, can I cuss?
Oh, I guess. That was the first.
My fault.
She thought she was that stuff. Oh my goodness.
I thought I was really, on top of the world. And I was working hard, but there's another level that you go through in college. And Gina was my coach for that. I'm sure everyone that plays any level of collegiate basketball or any sport has to go through the same thing, but there's just so much more in the tank. You hear about the second win and this and that, but it's a whole thing. My first practice at Yukon, I was so nervous. I was throwing up before we even started. Everyone's like, oh, did you get sick? I was like, oh yeah, I threw up. They're like, oh, it was so hard. I was like, nah, I was just nervous. I was really just nervous. And then, he got on me a few times because I was quitting or I just wasn't pushing through. And then once you get it, you just get it. And forever thankful for that, and just the experiences at Yukon and playing for one of the greatest to ever coach has just been crazy.
Let's go. That's so inspirational, because I feel like now people are like, how can I get it the quickest, the easiest, and the cheapest? And that is not how success happens. You're never going to get a dub by doing it the easy way. Now, the throwing up because I'm nervous, I mean, that sounds like a lot. But I remember being a high school player, and that's very much how college hoops was marketed. Like, oh, you want to do this? It's going to require a different level. So how did you mentally, though, get to that different level? Because when you're practicing, everybody else is practicing and they're getting better too. So what did you do outside of that to ensure that you're staying ahead of the game?
Just extra workouts, really focusing on mental health. Wasn't a big thing back then, but you realize as I look back, you do a lot of little things that would be considered now like mental health, a lot of meditation, or just taking time away, or, extra work, talking to coaches, having meetings, a bunch of film. And eventually, you have role models and players that you want to be like, or goals you want to accomplish. And Gino did a great job of basically saying, you want to accomplish this, what are you doing to get to that? So if you're saying I want to be a national championship, and you're, getting fast food every day, or drinking, or you're going out in college, which is definitely illegal because you're all underage. But if you're doing all that stuff, it's not necessarily the right way to become a champion. Now, there's anomalies to this. There's people that can go out, do whatever, and they're just on top of the world. I'm not like that. I have to really focus and stay dedicated. And that was my thing, just honing in on my goals and what I want to accomplish, and making decisions that will help that.
Yes, coming into agreement with, this is the person that I want to become. And so someone like this does things like these. I recently have really changed up my diet, because I realized that me having to be so dynamic and traveling and doing this, I can't just eat what's available. I have to eat intentionally.
Absolutely.
Right? I'm eating for fuel, not just for fun. I mean, I still eat for fun sometimes. We're in Nashville right now, so I've been eating chicken for the past 4 days.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
What is something that you would say made you different and better than most?
That's a tough one. I will say I went to Yukon. Played with Stewie, Bria Hartley, Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis, Tiffany Hayes, just Stephanie Dolson. Like, I could literally name a lot of players. So I had to find my role, right? So I knew if I could stand out as an elite defender, that's how I know I could get some minutes. So for me, it was honing in on a certain skill, and that kind of got me to where I need. And then I got drafted. Bill Lambier was my coach in New York. No idea I was going to go first round, and
first round, 11th pick, 2016 WNBA draft.
2015.
Oh, dang. 2015.
I'll take it, though. It makes me feel younger. But he really told me, he was like, if you're a big that can rebound and you're mobile, he was like, you will probably have a job in this league for a long time. So if you can end it, you can defend. So if you can hone that and try to make that your staple, that's kind of where you'll fit in. And now I'm on the verge of like, okay, I'm good on the defensive end. Let's add a little more. So that's kind of where my mindset is now, just to be more of an all-around player. But for sure, I think just a special skill, that's kind of like what got me in the league and kind of like kept me there. Specialization
is the name of the game. What can you be the best in the world at? What can you be the best in the league at? It's time to strengthen our strength. I think that there's a lot of people like, oh, I'm going to work on my weaknesses. No, you need to strengthen your strength. What's going to get you on the chart, what's going to get you on the map is the thing that you're best at, not the thing you're mediocre at. Yeah, and like I do a lot of hustle plays. You have elite athletes who are great, but they don't want to do all the little stuff, stuff that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. And I feel like that was kind of my end, If you don't want to dive on the floor, if you don't want to box out, you don't do this, all right, let me do it, You have to still get your minutes, but I'm going to, sneak in there and try to get some, but for sure. You are incredibly scrappy at your height. A lot of times centers are not bad, right? I mean, they will stay on 2 feet the entirety of the game, and you'll sacrifice yourself to get on the floor for that loose ball, because it's in the margins where we win, and it's those small disciplines. Going back to those little things that you used to do to keep you on track, what are those little things that you do today to continue to keep you on track and playing at such a high level? Well, one, these knees ain't like they used to be, right? So I can't do maybe as much diving, but I try to use my voice more. I feel like I have a pretty high IQ when it's in terms of basketball and, where to be at, especially on the defensive end. So I really try to direct people, tell them where to go. A couple years ago when Asia won Defensive Player of the Year, she did a little shout out to me, which I thought was incredible. But
the words she was speaking about me just really impacted me in a way. And I was like, I didn't realize I had such an impact on this team defensively. You know, when your best player, who's MVP caliber, you know, multi-time, was saying like, you know, we want to be where we are on defense without Kia. It just meant a lot. And just to hear that, knew that I was on the right track and that what I was saying, what I was doing was still helping our team. And that's kind of been my role now, just to obviously still do the same things. But if I can't dive as much, but still direct people and just try to put them in the right spots because of my experience. And, you know, I'm good at defense. I know what to do.
You're using your gifts to help the team. You're using your gifts to serve others.
Absolutely.
And I think we're all at our best when we serve. One of my favorite quotes ever is by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that says, not everybody can be famous, but everybody can be great because greatness is determined by service.
Absolutely.
And I definitely feel like through your journey, you've always been hyper-focused on how can I serve? How can I help? And look, it's led to victory.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, Kia, what would you say allows you to live in victory?
That's a tough one. I would, one, say all the little things, you know, whether it's on the basketball court, in life, I feel like that can go anywhere. And then being competitive. I think that also on the court or in life, whatever you want, you have to go after it. You have to make the right steps. You know, we can go bowling. I'm going to try to win. We could go literally anything. You just want to win. And I think those two things really just help anyone just live in victory.
And what would be your best piece of advice that maybe was told to you either by a friend, family member, maybe Gino? I know that, you know, he is the winningest coach in college basketball history with both men and women. And so clearly there's something happening at Yukon. And I would like you to share your thoughts for the Final Four tournament this year as well.
Oh, okay. I'm going to start with the Final Four one. Of course, I got to go with my Yukon Huskies. They had a big win over South Carolina this year, which I was really, really impressed. So I know they have it in them to really take it to the next level and go far in the tournament. And they're due for one. You know, it's been a hot little minute. Yukon ain't win, so we gotta get it back. So I'm definitely going with them. But the tournament this year is going to be crazy. All the top teams, one lost this week, won this week, lost this week. It's just, you know, a cycle is going to be crazy. So I'm really excited for the tournament. I think this will be the first year in a long time that I actually don't know who's going to win. You know, for example, last year we all kind of, South Carolina, they was top dogs. You know, back when we played, we were kind of like the top dogs. I'm not saying it was assumed, but
oh, no, it was absolutely assumed. Are you kidding me? 3 titles in 4 years when you were at Yukon?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I mean, that was the super team. I mean, there was another super team, right? Early 2000s with Sue, Diana. I mean, they were the ones that really set that precedent.
They did.
But y'all definitely delivered in the 2010s. I mean, 3 titles in 4 years.
I know.
And I also remember what the reputation was on the street. Like, oh, like, Yukon different. They just built different. I'm like, I don't know what they're doing over there, but it's working. And look, it's obviously been sustained for the longevity as well.
Yeah, and it's actually really funny because once Yukon hadn't won for a few years, it's like, oh, they suck or da-da-da. I'm like, y'all was just crying that it needs to be somebody else but Yukon to win to make it more fun. And now that it is, now y'all mad. So this tournament I'm really, really excited for. I actually got a text this morning about the alumni going to the Final Four. So hopefully they get it done. We get to go there and hopefully I get to see a championship.
Let's go in Tampa Bay. We'll see if the Yukon Huskies can pull it off again here in 2025. We've talked a lot about winning. We talked a lot about victory. And I think that's great because we all want to win, right? We all should live in victory so that we can win. But there have been some things that have been obstacles for you when it comes to injury. And I know that's something very common for athletes. But I even think in the professional sphere, we have to acknowledge sometimes when there's obstacles, sometimes there's setbacks. If you just want to talk for a second about how you have overcome challenges.
Yeah, injuries is probably the biggest one. My most recent was I had foot surgery in October 2023, and Alicia Clark had surgery on her foot a few years before. So she was telling me, you know, don't get frustrated, stay with it. It's going to take a while for you to feel like yourself. And I'm thinking, you know, I had back surgery and ankle surgery so before, and I kind of came back pretty quick. So I'm thinking like, all right, girl, like I'll be fine. So I had surgery. I was on a scooter for months, like way more than I thought. And even during the 2024 season last year, I didn't feel like myself until the end. You know, my foot was hurting because of that. I couldn't do my rehab. My knees were swollen. I just felt awful. And hearing those words in my mind from Alicia was like, don't get frustrated. Give yourself grace. Like your feet, they take the brunt of all the force for your whole life. You know, a big girl and I got little feet. So I'm saying all this weight on my feet, it's like they gotta get back, right? So it was just constantly giving yourself grace, showing up every day. Rehab was hard. Workouts were hard. The pain, you just got to fight through it. But really just hearing those words like, give yourself grace. It's going to be okay one day at a time. That really helped me.
That's important. Tough times don't last, but tough people do.
Whew, man, talk about it.
And I see that in your eyes and your heart and just your passion to serve and to win, right? You got that dog in you, a 2-time WNBA champion. Not only did you do that here domestically, but you did that with Fenerbahce overseas, which if y'all don't know, that is like the GOAT of teams. If you're on that team, you're on that team to win, and you're recruited very intentionally for that. And now looking forward to this 2025 WNBA season. You're coming to the end of your contract with the Las Vegas Aces. What is your expectation going into this last year of contract with the collective bargaining agreement ahead for everyone? What are you looking forward to? Maybe what are you worried about?
I'm just looking forward to getting back on the court, feeling like myself again. This was my first ever off season where I wasn't rehabbing, but in America, so not overseas. So actually putting in work and training the right way with a new staff, but just getting my confidence back, trying to do more on the offensive end. Like you said, this is my last year of my contract. I don't want this to be the end of my career, so I know I got to do a little more when it comes to the season, and I just want to get back to having fun. I feel great, knock on wood, right now, and I just want to get back to that. We have a chance to win another championship. Of course, we have a new staff, new team, basically, but we all are competitors, so just getting back to just having fun, the competition part, and I just want to get after it,
Get after it. Kiah Stokes, thank you so much for joining us today on the Living in Victory podcast. One last thing, send us off. How does Kiah Stokes live in victory? 1 or 2 words.
Compete, work hard. I know that's 3 words, but
she doesn't listen.
I don't.
Kiah Stokes, compete and work hard. That's how she lives in victory. Thanks so much, family. Keep going out and living in victory because you are already a winner. See ya.
Thanks, guys.
Who's gonna stop you? No one.